Welcome here. So we've got a problem with the upsetter. I'm not quite sure what's going on. I'm just starting to set it up from the big move. Before we get into that, thanks for being here. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Let me show you what's going on. So I actually have two upsetters. Some of you know that because we actually have been through some of these machines. Anyways, these were originally made for making jackhammer bits, reshaping or making them actually, and I've converted them to make axes. And they run on air. The head goes down, and this is a massive jackhammer on the back, and that's for upsetting steel. I don't actually use that function. This is the control valve here, but it moves, and that's how you control this thing, right? So the problem is, it doesn't move, it's jammed. And I've already taken the cover off because I thought, oh, this would just be a real quick fix. But I'm not seeing the obvious things, so we're gonna pull this all apart today. And you know, it honestly needs a good cleaning and go through, and we're gonna learn as we go and figure out what's going on. These machines are so old, and they're like a unicorn in the blacksmithing world. And so what that means is there's really not a lot of literature or documentary on them. I do have a parts manual. Besides that, we're pretty limited. And we just have to figure it out as we go. And what I'm noticing here, look at this. This is the handle on the shaft with this gear here, and it turns this one, and there's a valve. It's just a cylinder that moves up and down, and that controls the air. And this is where the oil is put in, and that goes through the machine and soaks it. There's a plug here on the side. I'm almost wondering if there's supposed to be oil in here, if like this is an oil reservoir and this is all supposed to float in oil. The grease was on there when I got in there. That doesn't mean that's necessarily right. And just seeing if this is freed up. I'm hoping it's just some corrosion because they've been sitting for a long time. I think it was the other one that we actually went through, and this one's a little bit different, so that's cool to see. The problem looks to be that the cylinder down here is just jammed on the side because this is free spinning now and I can't pull it up. It's probably just corroded on there. I got to decide how I'm going to go about this. This pin, I don't know if you can see, this pin here hits the side, so either I got to work with this to free that up to get that out so I can pull on that, or I got to come from the bottom. That looks good. I was just checking the oil in there. Look, I put some oil in just to try to free it up off camera. Came right through, so that's good. Nothing dirty in there. What I've done is this, it's a big fitting on the bottom. And I just made up this flat bar. Fits in diagonally, and we're gonna use that as sort of like our socket. If this works, it might be fool's hope. But we're gonna try it. But it helps to go the right way. Yes, it does, Timothy. Let's keep this going the right way, son. Oh, sweet. That never works that good, guys. I'm convinced that there's just a little bit of corrosion in there and it'll free up real good. So I'm gonna just use this block of wood. I'm gonna give it one little tap, and I'm hoping that'll free it up. Okay, that didn't work. Just seeing how smooth it is and deciding if I need to take it apart or not. It feels so good now. I would love to take that valve out and clean it. In order to do that, you have to take this pin out. And it's hard to get at because it won't come out all the way out here. That'll be an issue to slide it this way. I can't slide it out that way. The way that would come out is you have to take this whole valve assembly off. And which is interesting because the other upsetter wasn't like that. Anyways, the return on investment is not there. Not right now, at least. We'll clean up the best we can and just put it back together. But I am thinking that there's supposed to be oil in here, and that's probably what this is. This is probably a level for the oil because the air hits that valve and then goes in. And so there's no pressure in here, as far as I can understand, and that would need to be lubricated, that valve. So I've been running it dry. But that would be an issue. Oil would go out there. I think so, at least. Anyways, we're figuring out. Let me know what you think. I'm going to put oil in it, and we'll just see what happens. Worst case is it just comes out. I think we're in pretty good shape here, but I'm going to try something. So this control has 3 functions in it. It's the back function, blows scale out, just to clear the machine out. And then you have the middle stroke, which is this part coming down. So that's like from here. Okay. And then from this point forward, you have that function which drives that back hammer. So I never use that function. So I'm thinking if I adjust this so that when it stops, it's just before that initiates, it might be kind of nice. So we're going to try that just because we're here. I don't think it's going to be much to play with. A little bit of leakage around the valve. Certainly a little bit interesting, but I thought it would leak out of here, but it's looking good, and it makes the valve really nice and smooth. So I'm gonna try it, see what happens. I guess we got a pretty good leak there, though, eh? Here's the second problem. Well, second thing I think that's not quite right on this machine. The thought process starts right here. So this is the main oiler for the machine, and there's actually wool, like sheep wool in there. You soak it with the oil, it holds the oil, and then when the air goes through, it pulls it through the machine. And the same on this one is here. It's just a little different configuration, but essentially the same. Now, on the back side of these machines, you have grease for these columns, and this is the main one. And grease nipple there, no problem. But when you come to this one, it's different. And this setup looks exactly like that setup, except there's a grease nipple on it. I showed this in a video when I was working on that one. This was a while ago, and a viewer, I can't remember your name, in the comments he said, "Hey Tim, I think that somebody just put the grease nipple on and that this is supposed to be an oiler." And then I thought about it, I'm like, I think that's right. It is probably just a drain plug. Somebody put a nipple on it and it's putting grease in it. So I was watching this for a while, and this machine, it just really spews out the grease. And that's probably because it's set up for an oil system. Now, we don't know if that's going to work really great now because its grease has been ran through it. But we're going to take this apart, open it up, clean it out, and see what we can see and try to get this thing running better, because I'm all about that. So as I start cleaning up the back here, I thought it'd be a good time to tell you about today's sponsor, which is Squarespace. This is the one-stop shop. If you need to get set up with an online website, whether that be e-commerce, portfolio, blog, gallery, whatever you need, Squarespace has got your back. One of the great things about using Squarespace is that it's click and drag. So easy, even a blacksmith like me can operate it. And I've been using Squarespace for quite a few years now for selling all my goods that I make. Squarespace has award-winning templates. You can be sure you'll be looking perfectly sharp out of the gate. With built-in analytic tools, on your e-commerce website, track all the information you need to make sure your pound, oh, that's greasy, oh, nasty. I recently wanted to set up a newsletter as an additional means to notify you folks when products come available on my website. And Squarespace had a whole bunch of templates that were, again, very easy to set up, very useful. If you use promo code TIMD at checkout, gets you 10% off. I don't know what's going on exactly here because I don't know why there's a nut with a thread with a nipple in it. Like, wow, that is a lot of grease in there. Oh, nice. Okay. Man, I am getting stumped on this. I do not know what this is. So is that actually got a hole in there in this thing, which is fixed. It is affixed to this, and this is threaded on this side. This has a hole in it. You know, this is the part that goes in. This is threaded into that. It has a pin here. Does that hold down? I'm guessing that holds this to that. Does that make sense? No, that does not make sense. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that's about. What do you think? You gotta let me know if you know what's going on. Maybe that's like a system that's supposed to have a air draw, like to bring air in, to pressurize this canister, I guess, to push the oil in. A nipple on that brings air pressure in, makes it positive, so it pushes it in. But then why would you have adjustability? Just add support, so this would screw in, that would screw in by this, and then this would stay stationary, and then you would tighten this up on top of that, so everything's in place. That could stand to reason, I think. See, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. That's the positive pressure thing. I don't know why they put this on there either. If you know, let me know. I don't know if that was just like supposed to be like a quick fill, drop your oil in, but that there is what this is supposed to be. And then this, I don't know why that sits like that. This might be just wings to let air and oil through and keep the wool from drawing in to the machine. Then this starts to make more sense. This is something that somebody added on after. I'm gonna start it up. I'm gonna see if we can blow some grease out of this thing. Okay, so I'm 100% convinced that this was originally for oil. Here's all the things that I figured out. So this screws in and creates positive pressure. There's supposed to be a tube on here, and somebody has put a set screw in there. Block that off. The reason that this is all like this is that this would be backed out. You would screw this in. This kind of sits in. There's a little bit of a cone shape at the end. So that would cradle in nice and tight, and that would just be to support this rod here so that it doesn't break off. And then you would have to have this like this to seal it. This wouldn't be here, I think. This would all be, I don't know how that would have looked originally, but it would have been blocked off. It would not have been a nipple, I don't think. Somebody has blocked it off with a set screw. That makes sense if you're converting it to grease. The set screw out. I'm gonna, oh, that's bad. That's one of the downers to having a dirt floor right there. Oh, that's bad. Oh, no. What I suspect here is that the guides have gotten worn out and the rings have gotten worn out. The oil was blowing by so bad that somebody said, look, we got to do something. So they said, oh, let's just put grease in there. So they blocked up the oil system and just started putting grease through that because they're like, well, this machine here's doing that. It'll work on this one. That is probably true. I'm still trying to decide a little bit if that's okay. That's obviously not the right fix. The right fix is to take it apart and replace those guides and rings. I'm not doing that right now. It's what probably the last person said as well. I'm just deciding if I want to flip back to the oil or just say, you know what, we'll keep the grease until I can take this thing fully apart and rebuild it properly. You can see there I've got positive pressure now a little bit. It's more when the machine is down. Which is really good. That's starting to come. Here's what I've conjured up as fast as it took. So I welded in here. I could have cut this all off, but I'm saving that in case this doesn't work out and I have to go back to the grease. I just got to get rid of that weld in there. We're back to running, and then made this little spout here. That'll be for the vent to the top. That's basically back to original in function. Let's put it in. I'm gonna rob a little bit of my wool from this unit. This is what it looks like here. It smells real great. Yes, it does. Show you here how this works. You just, and then you'll watch, it'll just disappear. Well, we're going to call it there. We will see. Did I rip a Band-Aid off, or did we actually get ahead? We'll see it. We'll run it for a bit and see what happens. Thanks for watching. Super appreciate it. Thank you to all my channel members. Really appreciate your support here. Keep the forge lit, eh? Over and out.